And we are live. Hi everybody and welcome. Good to see the first person in already on this nice, quite a cool morning actually. But good to see you. How you all doing? Whoever's in chat. Glad you could all make it. Hopefully we're gonna have a great stream today. Hope you're doing well. I should actually get my YouTube chat and I haven't got that on yet. Let's get that going. So anyway, how are you doing? Hopefully doing well. Quickly put that in there. Actually almost, luckily I set my alarm last night because otherwise I would have forgotten to get up this morning. So that helped a bit. Okay, the chat is good. Good, Colin Dresser, good to see you. Good you could make it, man. Yeah, it's evening there by you. It's quite cool. Yeah, it's early morning here by me. Let's see. Let's create a poll. Are you doing well, Colin? 9 p.m. Yeah, it's 6 a.m. here for me at the moment. Not there's a vacuum. Okay, there we go. Added a poll. Yeah, it's quite a slow start today, but that's fine. It's expected because it is still very early. People will start coming in now, probably. 4 people. Hey, everybody else that's coming, welcome. Thank you for coming. Thank you for joining. Today is just gonna be a little chill chat about space. I thought I'll keep it the theme space because since Artemis was scrubbed again yesterday, if you guys haven't watched that yet, I do suggest watching the stream about yesterday with Artemis. Showed some things with rockets in a vacuum, and I showed quite a few things with Artemis and explanations and everything, and showing them talking about the Artemis missions and scrubbing and everything, and then yeah, was quite cool, quite interesting. Good to see the new people that's just joined. Welcome everybody. I did leave a poll if you guys are interested in taking the poll. Do you think space is fake or not? So far, it is coming 67% of people say space is fake. Do you think space is real? No, 67%, and yes, 33%. Hey Kikas, good to see you. Yes, Kikas is one of the patrons. Thank you, Kikas, for being a patron. I really do appreciate your support. Like I said, it is helping me to save up for a new mic and everything, so, and obviously new lighting, so really do appreciate it. The link is below for patrons if you guys want to join. But yeah, Artemis, what a joke. They're actually planning now to they've postponed it now to end of maybe even October. May, June, July, August. Yeah, they said something maybe like the end of September or even middle October to start letting it go up. So this is just confirming what I've been saying yesterday, that they're going to keep on postponing for different reasons to keep the gullible people wanting to watch it. So yeah, again, I did go through quite a bit of it last night on the live stream, so if you guys haven't, I do suggest you go and watch the live stream. I'll stick the link in below afterwards. Yeah, just keep sending tax dollars, Colin. That's exactly what it is. It's a money-making grab. It's all it is. How much of billions and billions of dollars have gone into that project? How long has it taken them to build the Orion capsule? And then you think about when the first Apollo mission, when they first decided to go to the moon, where Kennedy said, in this decade we will send someone to the moon. It took them not that long, 10 years, and they went up apparently, and they went up with it paper mache and tinfoil scaffolding rock airfix model. They went up with that through Orion's belt, through everything, landed on the moon and came back. But today, how much years later, with much better technology, they can't replicate that. Very weird. It's outrageous, exactly. I was just trying to explain. Why do you have to try and reinvent the wheel? If it's something already worked, like they claim to have gone to the moon with the previous technology, why do you have to try and reinvent it? Why do you have to make something even more powerful now? Try and make it bigger, try and make the technology better and stuff. And you're trying to reinvent something that's working. I mean, when it comes to mechanics and how can I put it? Everybody that has a profession in building things, why do you want to fix something that's not broken? So if it was working in the first instance, you're not going to go and say, listen, yeah, I need to fix that if it's not broken. So if it did work and they went to the moon, they would still use that same technology and just go to the moon. Why have to try and fix something that's not broken? Exactly. It is outrageous. I don't see the reason for that. Yeah, Skeptic69, one of my newest patrons. Welcome, dude. Thank you to you. You joined the Rooster Den. I really, really do appreciate your support. They lost the tech and they had no tech in the 70s. Yeah. It's amazing that the processing power they had was as good as a Nintendo. But yeah, I mean, a simple ordinary phone today has much more processing power than they had to go to the moon. But today they can't do anything. They just have excuses after excuses on problems. NASA makes and builds nothing. They outsource all their projects and receive billions of dollars. Exactly, Kevlar. Welcome, Kevlar. Welcome, Fake Clip. Good to see you guys. Yeah, that's, like I said, it's a money-making business. It's all money-making. They outsource everything and they compartmentalize everything. So when the project comes together, they say, listen, yeah, I worked on that piece of the rocket. I worked on that piece. Hey, I supplied the zip ties for that, or the duct tape for that, or or I made the chip for this module. And then because they do that, it creates a sense of community and saying, we are all proud Americans, we are building for a greater future kind of thing, That's exactly what it is. Because if you have to play on people's emotions and make them feel that they contributed into the space journey, what do you think they're going to believe? They're going to believe, listen, yeah, space has to be real, because why would they pay me or my business to make a chip if it's not really going to space? But you don't look at the bigger picture. You don't look at they using the compartmentalization to get everybody to stay gullible, to think, listen, yeah, this is it. And you don't see in the back how much money they have made off of this. You could have used that money for much, much better projects to go on. I mean, Earth is how little explored underneath the oceans. Don't you think they can rather use that money to go under the oceans and see what's going on Earth, instead of trying to go to somewhere for the last 60 years that they can't replicate someone doing with a paper mache model? Come on.
Hey, Flatside.
Hey, Brenda. Sorry, we'll talk later. We'll talk later, Brenda, because it's not...
Yeah.
It's not right now open for chats. It's not Wednesday. Wednesday I have Discord chats. So I'll open the Discord later for chats. Thank you, Brenda. So I'm going to unmute you now, but if you're going to talk, I'm going to mute you, okay?
You don't pay taxes, do you?
Okay, Brenda is muted. I just told Brenda that I am not going to open her. And yes, Brenda, I do pay taxes. Obviously, everybody has to pay taxes, Brenda. Oh dear, yeah, exactly. Brenda can be very demanding, but Brenda's just here to create chaos. Later on, I'll open the Discord chat for people to come in, because on Saturdays and Sundays, it's actually just live stream. Wednesday is Discord chats. And great news to everybody that didn't hear. Last night, it was voted quite great with a lot of people that I'm definitely going to make a one night a week debate. So I should be getting that launched this week or next week, hopefully, definitely. And then yeah, I checked this morning. I am now 10 hours away from being monetized. So yeah, after the stream, I'm monetized for sure. That's great. Then I can start getting super chats, which I'm definitely going to need for the Q&A for the debate sessions. Hey, someone, great to see you. Glad you could make it. Good to see everybody here. I hope that the times are still working well. That's why I do the early ones on Sunday mornings for the people that side of the plane. And if you haven't heard, I did ban Sean Hawkins from my Discord as well. So he's not very happy about that. He's even put out a little hit piece video now on me telling me what a dishonest and swearing at me because he's making up arguments for me and then asking me to get citation for argument I've never made. And I've told him this over and over and he just carries on. So yeah, that clown's not going to waste my time anymore. So yeah, it's good to see all of you in here. Hopefully we're just going to have a chill talk. I have something actually to present, actually from a physics video. And I commented to a guy because it's all about Coriolis. And it's been 3 days, he hasn't commented back to me after he asked me to explain. And I did explain it to him. And well, yeah, he'll rather go and ignore what I've said, wonder why, and go to and lead the others. Okay, so I'm going to go and let's see if we can watch that video and we can see if you guys...
I'm currently in India, and if I get some supernatural powers to hang up in the...
Oh, okay, I'm sure you guys can all hear that. And it's showing... Okay, this is anyway, Floathead Physics. It's an Indian physics channel actually. Very cool stuff. I do like his channel. He's got some great content. I do suggest you guys go subscribe to him and watch, as he has some great things and good ways to explain. But this one in particular was really interesting to me, the way he tried to explain this, because I think he sort of knows the problem and there's no way to get around it, because if you're going to do this you have a few problems. Let me just show you.
Sky, and if I hang up in the sky for about 12 hours, will I reach US? Or there's some physics behind it which would stop me from doing so.
Yeah, so anyway, this guy wrote a question to him and he asking is, in short, if he's going to be able to be suspended in free space, which would be in the air, and the earth is moving underneath him, which is claimed to happen, would he be able to, after 12 hours, reach the USA from his current location in India? Because obviously the ground is moving underneath him. That is the question. Let's see how he is trying to fix this problem, because that is the narrative. The globe moves, the ground moves underneath, hence Coriolis.
Interestingly, I think the answer is yes. And I want to...
Ha! You see? There we go. Already there, Globe Defenders. He says, yes. Yes, if you go up, you would reach it because the ground is moving underneath. So they're already... Sorry, anti-flat earthers, you've already got debunked by your own physics.
I'm going to talk about why I think so. But before I start, thanks a lot, Izzy Electronics. Let me know what your name is for asking this question, because I think at everyone at some point in their life has wondered upon some version of this question. I remember I always wondered, like, if I jump high enough, then when I land, will I be on a different part of the planet because the earth is spinning? Okay, so let's start thinking about this. Let's imagine there's Superman standing right next to us and he's going to take off vertically, hang up in the sky for some time, and he's going to come back. What will happen? Well, we have a video for that. This is not a video of Superman hanging up in the sky. It's a different video, but the cool things about physics is you can connect one thing to another. So I want you to see this video.
Yeah, you're going to see this is sort of like, you know what Simon Dad did when he tried to say you and your reference frame are ruined? It's exactly the same. Conservation of linear momentum, actually. But yeah.
Made by John White on Newton's law of inertia. And I want you to try and connect it to our situation, all right? So here you go. Let me do full screen. The link is in the description. Pretty cool video. You should check it out. All right, here we go. Okay. At first, we might say that this has nothing to do with our. We might think this has nothing to do with what we are discussing, but can you pause and think about what would the car represent, what would the people represent, and what would the ball represent?
Simply, he's trying to say this would be the Earth moving, this would be you watching Superman go up vertically. In other words, he's saying because you have momentum, conservation of momentum, it's going to move with you. But we're going to see how it doesn't really work that way, because there's a few things you have to ignore to have this happening.
In our analogy. All right. So the car represents the Earth. Why? Because you're considering the Earth spinning, and we're considering the car moving. The car moving represents the Earth spinning. The people on the car represent the Earthlings, us. And what does the ball represent over here? The ball represents Superman. The ball doesn't possess supernatural ability, so it doesn't hang up in the sky, but we can sort of use that to kind of imagine what would have happened, right? What we see is that, what do we see? We see that even though he threw the ball straight up in the sky, it didn't stay up, the ball just didn't stay up, and the car just didn't go forward.
Yes, there's a reason for that. It's because of the conservation of momentum. He threw it while it is moving, so it's going to go with him, obviously. But let's go on.
What we see is that the ball is, let's look at it one more time. We see that the ball is traveling with the car forward as it goes up and comes back. Why is that happening? Because of inertia. Because even before the ball was thrown up, it had a forward velocity, which was the same as the velocity of this dude, which was the same as the velocity of this van, right? And so when it gets thrown up, along with going up, it continues to go forward because of its inertia. You can see it continues. It's not going straight up, it's going at an angle.
I just want you guys to pay attention, because it's probably going to get to that point. You see where it's still aligned with his head, correct? He's going to stop at a point where it's no more aligned with him, it's behind him. Just have to point that out.
See. And because of that, it's all...
Oh, where is his arms going now to catch it? Has it lost energy? Weird. So it's not going to be impartant full energy, conserving that energy forever, is it? No, it's going to lose the energy from that momentum, and it's going to deviate.
Always traveling with him, and therefore it comes straight.
See where he's catching the ball. He threw it here in relation to him, and this is where he caught it. So, this showing inertia, exactly, conservation of momentum, but it's also showing that if you guys want to claim it's an infinite conservation, it's debunking that, because there's no such thing as infinite conservation of momentum.
Back in his hand.
See where he's catching it? He threw it here, this is where he caught it. So it's lost energy once he's released, and the Earth will move underneath him. So in other words, the Earth will still move away, and you will still see deviation from that ball, which would be an actual deviation. This would be an actual deviation, not a apparent deviation, because you would actually be moving away from that ball.
So can you use this and think about what would happen with Superman? Alright, just like that, Superman would be hanging up in the sky from our perspective. We would see him hanging up in the sky, just like how this dude saw the ball hanging, going straight up. And then when Superman comes back, he will come back in our arms, land in the same position.
See, you're already ignoring. He will not come back in your arms. He will not land in the same position, because you'd be losing energy thanks to inertia, because the Earth would still carry on with the same acceleration. He would not. He would not be moving with it. He would only move a bit with it until it's lost that momentum, until it's lost that inertial energy.
And what would somebody like an alien would see when they look at the Earth from outside? They would see the Earth spinning, but when Superman takes off, they don't see Superman taking vertically up. They would see Superman taking off at an angle, and they would see, just like what we saw over here, that Superman, as he takes off, they would see that the Superman will always be above the Earth, that position, that look.
He's trying to explain Coriolis effect. This would be the apparent deviation. So this would also be for the guy that threw the ball. He would see this apparent deflection as well, because it will look as if the ball is, or Superman is going at an arc. Not because it is, it's because it's apparently. That would be for his aliens as well. It's an apparent deviation. It doesn't mean he is flying at that, it means he is appearing to fly at that arc.
Location on the Earth, even though the Earth is spinning and going forward, they would actually see Superman just always horizontally, always above, just like what we saw in this video. So from this video, it's clear that no, if you hang up in the sky, then you come back down, you will be in that same position. But
I just showed you why that's not true, but yeah.
you might say, Mahesh, in the video, the car and everything was going straight, but Earth is round. So we're not going straight. So what would happen to Superman if he stood up long enough? Would he follow the curvature of the Earth, or something else would happen? That's an interesting question. We're stretching the analogy. What do you think will happen?
Difference between angular conservation of angular momentum and linear momentum. You showed conservation of linear momentum, and if you want to put it with angular momentum, you're going to have a bit different results, but about the same. Like I said, you lose energy. So when you lose energy, depending how the time duration is in the air, it will fall down in a different location. So even based on everything you've been showing here, because you claim Earth is spinning, we would see deviation of things in the air. That would include airplanes and helicopters and bullets and balls and birds and whatever, people jumping in the air and suspended in the air, people with parachutes. Yeah.
Okay. Well, at this point, we have to make some assumptions because Superman is breaking laws of physics. So if we assume that Superman can always counter gravity, like will always be able to somehow put a force against gravity as he's hanging up in the sky, then there will be no net force acting on Superman, and therefore from first law of inertia, that he will continue to be in the state of rest or motion in a straight line, right? So when Superman is hanging up there, we already know that he has a velocity forward which he got due to the Earth's spin. Okay?
Yeah, that's what he's saying. For when, if the Earth was spinning and he was on the ground, he has a velocity because that momentum, and he's going up. So in other words, he's keeping that inertial vector. But like I said, then he's ignoring that it does lose energy. It's not a constant energy momentum.
Therefore, he would continue to keep traveling in that straight line forever, but we would just follow the curvature of the Earth. That means Superman will not follow us. Eventually, Superman will just like go far away from the Earth. So what would we really see is not Superman hanging up over there. What we would really see, we will see Superman going like this. We'll see him going this way, right? Because we are curving down, so from our perspective, we'll see Superman going up.
Because we are curving down with the spinning ball, it will seem as he is going further up, and aka Coriolis effect.
So this is worse. Forget America. He will just like escape the Earth. So
yeah, Coriolis effect. We would see an apparent deviation of Superman because the Earth would be spinning underneath him, and the so-called drift would just be an apparent drift. What would really be actual is his location changed to it, because Earth would still be moving away from him, underneath him.
It won't work out. But at the beginning of the video, I said that it's possible. We said that yes, it's possible. And that's because of perspective. See, in this particular case, Superman is hanging up in the sky from our perspective, from the perspective of the Earth, or the perspective of human beings. But he was not hanging up in the sky from an outsider perspective. From an outsider perspective, like we saw in the
Yeah, the guy taking the video was an outsider perspective.
video, Superman took off at an angle, right? And so, and he was always having a velocity. But what if Superman can take off in such a way that he counters his inertia. Superman takes off at an angle such that his forward velocity exactly counters his velocity that he has due to the Earth's spin.
Whoopsie. So, in other words, if the Earth is spinning westward and an aeroplane takes up and flies eastward, is he countering that velocity? What is going to happen? The Earth is just going to move and he is going that way because he's now countered that velocity. There's no force pushing him back that way. There's no energy bringing him that way. Planes do not fly backwards, do they?
Then what would happen? Again, I want you to imagine this situation. What would happen as you see from the Earth's perspective? What would happen if you see from a perspective which is outside the Earth? I have another video for that. Yay! Here is a video made by Mythbusters. It's uploaded on some other channel. Soccer ball shot from a truck. So what's going to happen here?
Yes, that's a truck in America. It's called, by us it's a bakkie, but in America they call it a truck.
Let me just show you. All right. So there's a truck and there's a cannon that is like attached to the truck backwards. They're going to shoot a ball backwards and they're going to shoot it at exactly the same speed backwards as the truck's forward speed. Can you see how this is analogous to our situation? Again, you have to use the analogy and you have to connect the dots. Let's see what happens in this case.
Yeah, this is actually very interesting, and I actually went and I left a comment on his video based on this. We'll go through the comment afterwards and you'll see he hasn't even responded to me because of that.
All right, here we go.
Sorry, just gotta go with the... Just gotta quickly change because of the ads. Let's see, skipping ad. We'll get to it now. Let's get it. Exactly, your globe is broken. Why would you believe in such ignorance? I thought you were a teacher. Hey, Professor Bell, good to see you. Glad you could make it. Yeah, there's so much problems with their globe. It's not even funny. Let's go back to watching the video. See if it's showing. Oh, did I not? Oh, it's showing. Okay.
All right, let's see.
See how the ball is staying there?
What did you see?
It's left.
You see that the ball is just like hanging there. This time it doesn't travel with the car. So again, if you use our analogy, the car represents the Earth. The humans over there represent the Earthlings, and the ball represents Superman. This time, the Superman's backward velocity exactly countered his forward velocity due to the inertia that he gained from Earth's spin, or the car's motion over here. The two cancel out, and horizontally he has zero.
So there would be two things here. Because he cancelled out the inertia, he would stay where he is as the Earth moves away from him. So, in other words, his location would change because the Earth would still be moving underneath him. Secondly, he has lost, because this is not powered flights, as you say, let's say like Superman or aeroplane and stuff, they would still have the velocity going that way. So it would carry on moving that way as the Earth moves in the opposite direction. So you can climb in an aeroplane or a helicopter and you could fly eastward while the Earth is going westward. You've counted that momentum, that inertia, and you are moving in the opposite direction, and thus you can just move to get to your destination at a much quicker pace. Because why? It's like going on a treadmill. If you are jumping up from a treadmill and the treadmill is moving underneath you, that treadmill's still moving, you are going to land at a different location. Hence why your globe is broken.
Velocity. So what would have happened if they had shot not backward but at an angle? You can kind of imagine that the ball would have just gone straight up. Can you imagine that, right? Like, I don't have a video for that. The ball would have gone straight up, the car would have gone forward. Same thing would happen with Superman. If he takes off at an angle like this, then from an outside perspective, he would go straight up in the air, and when he stays there, he's hanging up in the air, as seen from an outside perspective, an alien's perspective, let's say. And then when he decides to come back, Earth is spinning, just like how the car went forward, the Earth is spinning, and then when he decides to come back, he'll be on a different part of the planet. So,
Ha! There we go. Globers, you might want to contact floathead physics, because he's just debunked your whole argument that everything moves together, velcroed to the Earth.
it's possible that if he started from India, if Superman started from India, it's possible that he might reach US. I don't understand the geographies and stuff. Like, I don't know exactly where he'll reach, but you get the point. He'll be on the other side of the planet. But what would we see? Like, what would humans see? Well, again, we can go back to the video and we can look at the video perspective. Alright, so here we go. Look at that. From our perspective, with the onboard camera that we have, which is very similar to the Earth's perspective, we just see that the football was thrown back. And that makes sense, because from our perspective, we just shot it backwards and all we'll see is the football going back. So what would we see Superman doing? Well, from our...
Yeah, exactly. That's what you would see. You would see the deviation. You would see us moving away from it. It would land at a different location. And what do we see in reality? We do not see this ever, because everything always gets to the destination that it's gone to. Shoot the bullet up in the air, it's going to land up where it's supposed to be. Kick a ball in the air, it lands where you've kicked it. Fly an airplane, the Earth is not moving underneath it. You are just flying to your destination. Hence why we say if you have to fly in the opposite direction, you would get there much quicker. If you just had to take a hot air balloon and float around in the sky, the Earth would move underneath and you would get to a different location.
From our perspective, we'll just see Superman going back. And we'll see it's normal. He's just flying to the other side of the world, so we don't see anything special. We wouldn't say Superman hung up in the sky, because from our perspective, he just flew backwards. From the alien perspective, on the other hand, though, from outside, they would see Superman hanging up in the sky, and therefore, they would see him stationary, and then he would come back, and they would see that the Earth has fallen beneath his ground. So technically, that's why, depending on the perspective, technically, the answer is yes.
Okay, that made it quite cool. Let's check it. Please guys, do like it and do subscribe to me. It does have very good content. Okay, let's see. I left him a message. This was 3 days ago. The problem is that when you evoke conservation of momentum, you throw away the argument to be able to observe Coriolis effect. Also, what would be angular momentum or linear momentum? So I simply asked him, is he trying to claim angular momentum, conservation momentum, or linear, because he's showing linear momentum here, obviously. But exactly that my point was, because if you're claiming it's moving with the Earth, then you won't be able to observe Coriolis because it would be moving with you. So he says he doesn't understand. How can I elaborate? Sure. I elaborated for him and I just said, first Coriolis effect has to be observed. He observed you will have to be on the non-inertial reference frame. That would be the Earth, the spinning frame. So you are on the moving, observing this in case is Superman having an apparent deviation. So you're on Earth, you're looking at Superman, you moving away, and it gives Superman that apparent deviation that you see, because it's you moving, not Superman. If you claim conservation of momentum, which is saying inertia, this would be an angular momentum or linear momentum. He still hasn't answered me, as they both have different applications, which he sort of explained in the video. But the how can I put it? The effect will sort of be the same. It will just, the one will have an angular deviation, where the one will have a linear deviation. Also, the point that they showed on Mythbusters demonstration is the ball loses its energy and so is limited to the location name. Exactly what I said. Because he shot it out, it's a ball. He's just used up that energy and thus just plops down and falls down. So it's lost its energy. As for Superman or plane and so forth, a flight would take less by flying eastward than westward, as the ground would be moving at 480 meters a second, just about westward, at the equator. And Superman or plane, helicopter and so forth would have countered the momentum and now has a positive vector eastward. Exactly. So what I was trying to say is, if you hop in a plane or whatever and you're flying opposite to the direction, you've counteracted that momentum, that inertia. There's no more force pulling you back. You are going. And because the plane is still having a positive, how can I put it, a positive vector going the other way, because he's counted it, he's still going to be moving opposite to the Earth. It's the same as if you take someone swimming in a stream. They're swimming opposite to the stream. They're still going to be swimming, and they just have to struggle more to go the opposite way. But what happens when they climb out the water and they go? The water's going to go, and they're just going to go the opposite way. No problem. So hopefully that made sense to you guys. 7 people in. Hey everybody that's just joined, good to see you. Yes, on the poll we're sitting at, do you think space is real? Yes 17%, no 78%, and yes 4%, yes but not as a vacuum. That's quite interesting. Yeah, let's see. It's good to see the people. I see Professor Phil is keeping the people busy in the chats. Yeah guys, Phil does struggle a lot when it comes to understanding things. Let's see. Professor Phil Bell. Kevlar, I know you want to fantasize that Earth is flat. It's not, and I can prove it. Can you prove it, Phil? Would you please be able to prove it? Because you've been saying you can prove it for a while now, and yet you haven't brought anything other than because of your belief. Let's see if I have anything else we can show. So that was flathead physics. Let's see. I think I can stick his link in the I'll stick it in the description box after the video when it does process. And I can put it in chat for now. So do go and subscribe to him. That was floathead physics. So yeah, something very interesting because of Artemis 1 last night. I see NASA hasn't even updated their site yet. They're still keeping it going to show it's wow, look at that. Back to the moon. This is on NASA site. See, nasa.gov. We are going. That's what they said. Back to the moon. This was, remember it was scrubbed yesterday. Mission facts September the 3rd. And what's it today? It's the 4th. And they did not go. Weird. After we got preached by the anti-flat earthers for how long. I'm going to cry when it's flying up. And I said it's not going to happen. Hence yesterday the stream and my shorts saying it didn't. So yeah, they still haven't even updated the information. Don't you guys think it's odd that someone that's so professional and wants to do so much, doesn't even just have the chutzpah to get this site updated saying, listen here, it's scrubbed, and just editing and say, listen here, our launch date has changed. This is what your taxpayers are going for, people. Tardiness. Because I know when you were in school and something updated and you didn't update it, you were seen as wrong, isn't it? So what does it help to have a PhD and pay so much money and they can't even just update the site to say, listen here, scrubbed? No, because it's better for people that are coming into this, they don't know that it was scrubbed. They're just going to think, oh, look at this great, awesome achievement that happened yesterday. And then they move on with their lives not knowing that it's all just a farce. So yeah, thought that was quite interesting. So, care to address that, Phil Bell? Professor Phil Bell says, Kevlar, only a moron would think Earth is flat because your kitchen floor is flat. No, Professor Borwell, we can demonstrate everything on a flat surface. You guys have yet to demonstrate anything. Hence why your space vacuum is a joke. Yes, so we can bring up second law of thermodynamics as well. What is the second law of thermodynamics? Just so people seeing I'm not lying when I talk about it. Phil, the second law of thermodynamics is a physical law based on the universal experience concerning heat and energy interconvention. That's a physical law. You see that? Physical. It means it's physically changing. It's not just quantitative. The quantitative is just an explanation, but it's physical, okay? One simple statement of the law is that heat always moves downhill. That is, from hotter objects to colder objects. So in other words, you lose heat energy because it cools down, it moves to the surrounding system. Unless energy is applied to reverse the direction of heat flow. So in other words, if I put heat into the system, I'm creating heat energy. But you have to add that energy to get the energy. The second law of thermodynamics states as energy is transferred or transformed. You know what that means? It means it's transferred to another system or transformed. So it's using work, it's losing it. It's working to get that transformation. More and more of it is wasted, aka entropy. It's one of the 4 laws of thermodynamics, which describe the relationship between thermal energy or heat and other forms of energy and how its energy affects matter. So in other words, affects physicality. So in other words, with gas, it's a physical transformation. It uses energy which gives a physical effect. Not just, I'm going to count how much moles there. That quantitative description is based on physicality. Yeah, I see NASA showing something. What do they say with the second law of thermodynamics? It's amazing how they have containers for everything, eh? There exists a useful thermodynamic variable called entropy. That would be S. A natural process that starts in one equilibrium state and ends in another. This will go in the direction that causes the entropy of the system plus the environment to increase for an invertible process and will remain constant for a reversible process. Simple. Hot to cold. Heat transfer. It's using energy. It's transferring that energy. It's transforming that matter. It's taking all that heat and it's making it colder as it's transferring that energy to the cold, to the surroundings. I wonder if we can make it bigger. Let's just Quora. Okay. Open a new tab maybe? No. Okay. Doesn't matter. Entropy in an isolated system that is not in equilibrium will tend to increase over time until it reaches a maximum equilibrium level. Yes. If you keep the door open between adjoining rooms and different temperatures, the cooler room will become warmer. Yes, because what happens? Heat will go into the cooler room and the cooler room will disperse into the heat. They get into each other, so you're changing both systems. And the warmer room will cool down until they both reach the same final temperature, so a equilibrium, you could say. That means that the temperature in here will have cooled down, the temperature in here would have heated up, and it would have become the same temperature in both systems. Note that it is contained in both situations. Let's see. Thermodynamic systems. Let's do this for Fight the Flat Earth because he still hasn't got this yet. Isolated system. An isolated system is actually just a hypothetical because you do not really get an isolated system in reality. You get a closed system and an open system. The isolated system is seen as the universe. But this already contradicts what's going on because, your universe is expanding constantly, as you would say, and you would need containment to have it isolated, and that would mean there would be something outside of the universe because it has to block the energy and the matter coming in or out. So if it is expanding, that containment is expanding with it into what? There's nothing to expand into, and if nothing's expanding, that just it's creating something out of nothing. The closed system is very simple. You can have energy in and out of the system, but matter cannot come in or out. So if your Earth is classified as a closed system, which it cannot be because you guys claim the astronauts and the rockets and stuff is leaving in and coming out of your Earth. Therefore, it has to be an open system. So very simple, because it has to be an open system globe, that means you have energy and matter going in and out. So hence, therefore, the gas that we have here would have to use the energy, have to transfer to the surrounding system. Does this happen? No, it does not. Why doesn't this happen? Because we do not live in an open system. We live in a contained, closed system. Hence, we have gas pressure to breathe. Your atmospheric pressure of having layered columns of air is just rubbish. The reasons we have the gradient is because we have pressure in the first place. That atmospheric pressure, you call it, is gas pressure at different states in the system. Because we live in a dynamic system. We have cycles. We have vast area changes. With the higher you go in altitude, the wider the more area there is to fill. So at ground level, you got the ground where the gas is heating off. You got mountains where it's heating. It's trees, buildings, people. So it's more condensed. So you have more pressure. It's got more to heat against, more energy to transfer, more heat being picked up, and that's why you have more pressure at sea level. The higher you go up, the further you're away from the larger surface of the ground to hit. The less buildings you have to hit, the less mountains you have. And therefore, when you go up on Mount Everest, the air is so thin because it's literally having further to travel to you. It's hitting against your area, and the ground has to go travel and hit away because gas moves in all directions all the time. And as you know, your so-called gravity has no effect on the direction of gas. Very, very simple. So that's practically just thermodynamics. Then you get Maxwell's demon. Yes, it was created by Clerk Maxwell this is quite a while. I don't know the exact year, but anyway, he just postulated a hypothetical that if you have, let's say, two boxes of air, the one is going to be cold and one is hot. So if you put that partition in the middle between them, and you had, his word would be a demon, looking at the systems, and he's closely opening and closing that partition as soon as he gets a gas molecule hitting against it. So he's separating them. In other words, he's separating all the hot to go to the one side and all the cold molecules to go to the other side. He can change the temperature. This is based on his hypothetical that just having the information will be able to change the system. Are they able to actually go and do these demonstrations to show it functioning reality? No, because it's just a hypothetical. But he was saying it's just very interesting that you could make it that you can separate the hot from the cold. So in other words, reversing entropy. Very interesting. I think I do have some. Yes, I do have something. Yeah. But before we go to this, let's check on all the comments. How's it going out? See, I have a comment. Professor Fulbell, well done reading of the second law of thermodynamics. It's about energy, not gas, the equation. Professor Fulbell, remember I told you that it's a physical. The energy is physical, is it not? The gas moving is physical movement. The energy in that gas is moving. It's physical movement. The hotter it is, the more energy it's got, the faster it's bouncing around. When it loses that energy because it's releasing it, it's going to move slower. Really weird. Yes, I agree with Lord Kelvin, hence why we create everything in the Kelvin scale, Professor Bell. So, good to see everybody here. Let's see if we can look at that video. It's where he explains Maxwell Demon. I think it's quite something.
Among his many interests, Maxwell became fascinated by the science of thermodynamics. the study of heat and motion that had sprung up with the birth of the steam engine.
Pay attention, Professor Forbell. Heat in motion. Steam engines. Is that a physical work? I would think so. Wow.
Maxwell was one of the first to understand that heat is really just the motion of molecules.
So in other words, he's saying the heat, the motion of molecules, so the hotter it gets, the more quicker it moves around and bounces around. It hits where? The walls of its container.
The hotter something is, the faster its molecules are moving. This idea would lead Maxwell to dream up a very bizarre thought experiment in which information played a crucial role.
Remember, thought experiment, hypothetical. Phil?
Maxwell theorized that simply by knowing what's going on inside a box full of air, it would be possible to make one half hotter and the other half colder. Think of it like building an oven next to a fridge without using any energy.
So free energy, that's what he's trying to depict here, okay? So in other words, he's trying to say, because you have the two systems here, a container and a container wall in the middle, if you have to separate it, you'll have the cold and you'll have the hot. In other words, this represents the oven and this represents the fridge, where you don't need to use any energy to have the separation. So in other words, reversal of
It
entropy.
sounds crazy, but Maxwell's argument was extremely persuasive. It goes like this. Imagine a small demon perched on top of the box who has such excellent eyesight that he can observe accurately the motion of all the molecules of air inside the box.
One thing I would like to know is, why did he decide on a demon in the first place? He could have made any kind of analogy, but he had to place a demon. But yeah, that might be because he was a Mason, and yeah. Don't you love that dance? I love his concentration. Probably thinking to himself now, looking at this empty box, imagine the balls bouncing around. Gas go boom boom, as Nathan would say.
Now, crucially, he's in control of a partition that divides the box into two halves. Every time he sees a fast-moving molecule approaching the partition from the right-hand side, he opens it up, allowing it through to the left. And every time he sees a slow-moving molecule approaching the partition from the left, he opens it up, allowing the molecule through to the right.
Yeah, so in other words, separating the two types into different systems. So all the cold is going to the one, all the heat is going to the other. In other words, he's trying to reverse entropy using a demon and a hypothetical thought experiment with a partition. Yeah, not crazy at all. And it's going, and it's going.
Now, you can see what's going to happen. Over time, all the fast-moving hot molecules will accumulate on the left-hand side of the box, and all the slow-moving cold molecules on the right. Crucially, the demon has done this sorting with nothing more than information about the motion of the molecules.
So in other words, giving a description to a hypothetical and then trying to say it's reality, you can reverse thermodynamics. That's what Maxwell's about, reversing thermodynamics based on information. Interesting.
Maxwell's demon seemed to say that just by having information about the molecules, you could create order from disorder. This idea flew in the face of 19th century thinking.
Entropy, Phil, is that physical Yes, it's physical. Entropy, it's broken. Can you reverse this now? You cannot reverse it. The cup was broken. You can glue it back together to try and build it up, but it hasn't changed the entropic state. It's still been broken. You can't put it back. There's still going to be a little shard somewhere gone that you're not going to be able to put it back. So in other words, you haven't reversed entropy at all. You just created another system state.
The science of thermodynamics had shown very clearly that over time, the entropy of the universe, its disorder, would always increase. Things were destined to fall apart.
Yep. That's why we say everything in life is, how am I going to put it, is destined to have an entropic state. So that's why you die one day. That's why you go old. That's why things don't last forever. That's why even this keyboard one day will not work anymore. That's why if you leave something out in the rain and the sun, after a while it decays and it succumbs to entropy. Why, Phil? Because it's a physical thing that happens. So again, gas is physical. The entropic state is a description of that physical state. Do we have gas pressure? Yes, we do. What do you require to have gas pressure? Containment. Second law of thermodynamics states that it would increase. You would have an increase of entropy. If Earth was an open system, we being inside other system, a vacuum of space, all the gas would disperse into that system. Hence, entropy increase. Because order to disorder. Then you get the hypothetical, like Maxwell's demon, which is just trying to reverse entropy based on the information, like this cup. So you threw it down, it broke, you've increased entropy. Now he's saying if you glue it back together based on the information, it means you have reversed entropy. No, you have not. You've simply just created a new system. You've created a state system. Some of those little pieces, that's minute. Do you think you're going to be able to pick that up somewhere and stick it in there? Sorry to tell you that. And you're going to have added molecules because you've added glue. So I hope I'm making it very clear for you. Professor Phil Bell, you read stuff and you play the video and still say exactly the opposite. No, I'm saying exactly what he's saying. It's a hypothetical. Phil. I'm explaining it to you in very, very simple terms because you, being a so-called professor, really lacks fundamentals when it comes to reality. Sorry to say it blunt, but it's the truth. Let's see what the poll is going. Do you think space is real? Yes, 25%. No, 69%. And yes, but not as a vacuum, 6%. It's getting good. We're getting some extra ballers in here now. Citizen Z, a large lake and thick line. Please post link. What does Jack of all trades say? Bell, it's fascinating to watch Flats being so smug about his personal incongruity. No, Jack. I can show you all day, every day, how thermodynamics is violated by your globe. You can say nah all you want, but reality is we have yet to find a demonstration of you guys showing anything without containment. I think let me go and actually show you what I mean. Let's take blue marble science. Gas pressure without a container. This was comedy gold. This was really
blue marble science. We've got your gas pressure without a container. It's right down there. See? There it is.
just this alone. Gas pressure without a container. What is this thing? Is this not a container? Does it not use containment to even take that reading? Weird.
You know, we keep hearing this over and over and over again. You can't have gas pressure without a container. At least, according to Nathan Oakley, Quantum Eraser, Anthony Riley, and I guess pretty much every other flat earther out there. But you know what? They're wrong.
Why are we wrong? Please do enlighten us why we are wrong. This should be good.
So Gladys, are you ready? Atta girl. Let's light this dumpster fire and have some fun.
Do enjoy his little music though. Hee-haw, man! Let's get it going.
Okay,
Yeah.
so what's the issue? Well, it's really simple. Flat earthers can't afford to have gravity become a real thing, because if that ever happens, most of their argument just flies out the window.
False. We can't have gravity is not we can't have gravity. It means gravity doesn't exist. Has any of you been able to even define what gravity is? It keeps changing. It was a force, now it's not a force, and now it's even seen as entropic. It's moving to entropic now, which gravity doesn't even exist. You might want to keep up to date. It's not that gravity, don't need gravity. We have relative density disequilibrium, if you haven't realized that, which is demonstratable and scientifically validated. Gravity is pseudoscience and cannot even define what it is.
They can't have gravity be responsible for retaining our atmosphere. They just can't have it.
Can't have gravity for retaining. I think I just want to do something quickly before we go on. I want to play something for you guys. I just want to find it on my videos, because I have tried to explain this to Phil how many times, and it's just not getting anywhere. Where's my playlists? Yeah, playlist. You might want to go and check gas pressure. Just gonna pause that because I want to look for a specific video. I think it's this one. Yes. No. Sorry, I'm just looking for the video quickly. So talk among yourselves, because there's a specific part in the video. Ah, there we go. Let's see. You guys are ready?
The universe is spreading out. That's not necessarily the same as saying the matter in the universe is spreading out.
One of my old videos. Please do pay attention what the woman is saying, because
This is what, again, flat earthers would have you believe. If I have lots of gas particles here, we do know they are going to spread out. But it's not the spreading out of the gas particles that follows entropy. What entropy is the spreading out of energy. Then I have a lot of energy contained in a small space. When they spread out, they are dissipating that energy with them. What entropy is the spreading out of energy. Then I have a lot of energy contained in a small space. When they spread out, they are dissipating that energy with them.
yeah, very quite simple, explaining to you the pressure.
Hi, I'm Emerald Robinson,
Listen.
and in this What Is video, we're going to investigate the state of matter called a gas. Gases are materials that have no definite volume and no specific shape. In other words, gases can easily flow into and take the shape of a container and will expand,
Take the shape of a container.
redistributing themselves to evenly fill that container. Although there are many types of gases, there are a few characteristics that they have in common. First, particles in a gas have no real arrangement. They can move over and past one another, and the space between the molecules can increase or decrease. Molecules in a gas collide with one another and move more quickly or more slowly based on factors like temperature and pressure, but they will always spread out fairly equally to fill the space that they're in. All of this molecular movement means that gases hold a lot of kinetic energy. Energy is caused by motion. Second, gases can be compressed. Because there is space between the molecules in a gas, it can be placed under pressure and squeezed so that the particles are forced to be close to one another. Third, gases can flow from one area to another, although the direction of flow is not directly affected by gravity. This ability to flow means that molecular movement means
Did
that
you hear
gases
that?
hold a lot
Say it
of
again.
kinetic energy. Energy is caused by motion. Second, gases can be compressed. Because there is space between the molecules in a gas,
Listen,
it
Phil.
can be placed under pressure and squeezed so that the particles are forced to be close to one another. Third, gases can flow from one area to another, although the direction of flow is not directly affected by gravity. This is not directly affected by gravity. Although the direction of flow is not directly affected by gravity. Although the direction of flow is not directly affected by gravity. To another. Although the direction of flow is not directly affected by gravity. This ability to flow means they are sometimes referred to as fluids. Last, gases have melting points and boiling points that are below room temperature. For the most part, we are unable to see gases because of the space between their particles. Scientists have to use characteristics like pressure, volume, number of particles per unit area, and temperature to discuss and identify them. Gases are commonly used in things like cooking, healthcare, and scientific research, and they even make up the air we breathe.
I think that makes it very clear. Phil, did you pay attention to that? Hey Quinfy, good to see you. Thanks for coming in. Let's see. Air pressure, we stack air on top of each other, and the lowest air experience the most pressure. Like we stack 4 fat fillies on top of each other, the bottom filly experience. Exactly, Quinfy. I mean, I don't know if you guys did this when you were children. You would all pile up on top of each other. I know, once I actually got kind of claustrophobic because I was at the bottom of that pile, and the more children that were piling on top of me, the more pressure was of me. I couldn't breathe. That's it. That's the pressure. But yeah, physicality, people. It's the gas pushing against physical surface, hence gas pressure. You require physical containment to have that gas pressure. Zebra, why do you show a video mentioning gravity if you don't accept it? Zebra, I'm showing you that even based on gravity, it doesn't have any effect on the direction of gas. Your guys' argument is that even if your gravity is given as a force, it would stop the gas from expanding into space. That's the whole problem. Because you guys don't actually learn your own physics. Sorry. Even if gravity was given as a force, it would be too weak to do anything. It cannot overcome entropy. Entropy is physical. Sorry to burst your bubble. Okay, let's see. Professor Fulbauer. Flat Earth perspective. At the ground, it's 14.7 psi. At 100 kilometers, it's 0.0 psi. Why is the air on the ground not rushing to full speed? It's in the same system, Phil. It's still moving up. We live in a dynamic system. At the bottom of Earth, you have a surface, which is large, don't you agree? You have mountains and buildings and trees and people and rocks and water. It's got more surface area to bounce off of. Now we have cycles as well, so as it's rotating and moving and bouncing each other, it's transferring energy much more rapidly. Going up, like let's say 100 kilometers, where is the surface of the ground to hit? Down below. So it's still going to have to get, it's got longer to travel, it's got less to hit, it's got wider space to fill. It is filling it, Phil. It's just taking long because we live in a dynamic system. We got cycles. To have that gas pressure gradient, you first require containment because gas takes the shape of its container. Do you understand that? So the gas is moving freely in all directions. It's just more compact at the places where there's more to hit. Simple as that. Professor Fulbell, yes, it's constant at 100 kilometers because the area is constant. You haven't lately gone and taken and put a flippin' surface area of something huge, humongous at 100 kilometers, have you? Because then you would see a difference in pressure change because it would have more to hit off. If you're taking your barometer, which is container by the way, you're using how can I put this? Containment to take a reading. Okay, let's get back to let's get back to the video of Professor Fulbell. This is quite something.
That would cause our atmospheric pressure gradient, but that would also mean that the atmosphere simply diminishes into the vacuum of space. Space is real, their dome isn't, and their argument is done.
See, just based on this alone, you would know he would vote yes on the poll. If you haven't voted already, just click on that poll, yes if you think space is real, no if you think it's not, or yes it is, but it's not a vacuum, because we're going to check the poll at the end of the stream.
Now, unfortunately for them, it's actually pretty easy to disprove that nonsense, and we've done it. The first part of this demonstration was done a few weeks ago in the shop and included in another video, and I'll put a link for that in the comments. But now I've taken it outside where I can demonstrate a much higher gas pressure with a taller pipe.
You see how he's just debunked his whole argument? What is a pipe, Phil? A pipe is a container. It's an open container, Phil. How are you just telling us you are not having gas pressure without containment while bringing a pipe? Yeah. You might want to learn what a pipe is next time by saying you don't have containment. Sorry guys, just a advert again. Just swapping it to go in, and there we go. Is it showing? Yes, okay. So this is what he's showing, guys.
He did this per the Nathan Oakley scientific method. I went through the observation and hypothesis and variables and all of that stuff, and basically what we ended up with was an incline manometer, a 4-foot piece of pipe that we could fill with butane and...
Okay, container 1 full, container 2 full, container 3 full, not to mention the container that all this is situated in full. Same system with different containers. Wow.
measure the gas pressure without a top on the pipe.
So you've just debunked yourself. Measure the gas pressure without the top on the pipe. So it's an open container, an open system. That opening lets it, what happened? It can disperse into the surrounding system given enough time. Hence why you keep on having to put butane in the system, and then if you put it in the first time you don't need to take it out, because then it wouldn't disperse. But what do you think happens over time, Phil? Oh wait, it disperses into the surrounding system, hence an open container, hence second law of thermodynamics, hence entropy increase, hence your globe has been debunked by yourself.
So gas pressure without a container. After that we did a little mathematical predictions and
Okay, we
some
don't have to
analysis.
listen to him
Gas
talking
pressure
about it. Let's just show you.
without a sealed container.
Oh, now it's a sealed container all of a sudden, without a sealed container. I thought you said without a container, so now you had to change it to a sealed container. Everybody, Phil has just debunked you just by saying sealed container. There is one sealed container, there is another container, that pipe hence is another container, another pipe where he's reading it is also another container.
This is the little arrangement that we see the cartoon of in the slides. Piece of 1/2-inch pipe, which is 4 feet long.
Is that physical wall? Is that a physical barrier where he's had to spray the butane into?
An incline manometer,
Physical.
and this thing reads air pressure simply by this red fluid that's in the tube.
So like a barometer, in other words.
Right now, I'm going to reset this a little
Okay.
bit. Show 0 pressure.
Great.
Right there.
0 pressure, okay? Ooh, is that physical container you just picked up, Phil? Is that not a physical container it's just picked up, everybody? Is it not holding anything? It's not containing gas by any chance? Yeah.
Got a valve on the bottom, but we're not really going to use it. And that thing may still have a little bit of butane in it, so
I like how he has to plug the one container into the other container while demonstrating no containment.
let's just make sure. There we go.
There we go. I like that valve
So
too.
zero pressure up here.
Would that be a closing in the container, in the system?
Zero pressure down there. There's no pressure in the system at all.
False. You set it to 0. In other words, you've set the reference to 0. For there is definitely pressure in the system. Just because you set it to say 0 doesn't mean there's no pressure in the system. There's still air inside the container that you said is not a container. Oh, but earlier you said it is. It's just an open container.
I've marked the pipe at 12 inches, 24 inches down from the top, and I'm going to be setting this right here even with about the top of where that tubing is, because that's the height of the column of gas we're measuring. And then there's a final one at 36 inches, which is up here, just sitting, well, it's actually 38 inches, with everything just sitting up like that. There's a 38-inch mark right there.
Okay, anyway, he's going to try and now prove, because we have a pressure gradient inside that pipe, therefore no containment, while showing containment and ignoring that the gas pressure gradient comes after having gas pressure in containment in the first instance. The reason we have the gas pressure gradient in the pipe is because you have more molecules hitting against it. You are at sea level, remember? You've put a denser gas inside it. It takes more energy for that denser gas to hit through, to disperse. It takes longer. That's why hence we have an arrow of time. Wow.
Okay.
Well, I'm gonna forward. This is kind of boring. Sorry, he is kind of a boring guy. Let's go maybe to the outside. Gets a bit more exciting. Oh yeah, it's got some. This is his readings. See, so he's having different gradients at different altitudes. That's where the markings he put on. In what was it? Was it a no container or was it in an open container? Ooh, rare.
Column of gas to measure. So next we're going to go outside and do some tests with some taller pipes.
Taller pipes, people.
And,
containment.
See how that works out.
So in other words, containment. Hey, he's outside. And what do we have? The
We
containers
did this
again.
experiment in the shop using the 4-foot piece of pipe you see there.
Now was that 4 feet? Yeah.
But that was limited just by the height of the ceiling in the shop area. So that's what limited how much pressure we could generate. So we've got...
Yes, exactly like I'm trying to explain to Phil Bell. He made a longer pipe now, so you can have a greater distance from the form. What's that? The floor, the surface. Does it have more to bounce off the wall? It has more, but it's more compressed. Everything is having more to hit off of. The velocities are much greater because it's got more energy transference in a more combust environment. It's the same as, let's go to a train in India and you climb and cram yourself in that train. Everybody is against each other. You're transferring more energy because you're more compressed. Now let's try and go and climb in a train in England, for instance, where it's not so compressed. I'm talking about a high-end, let's say the Blue Train in South Africa, for instance, where you only have compartments, where you have 1 or 2 people in a compartment. Are you sitting against the person like this? No. You're not having that transfer of energy as you do of the train in India, where everybody's packed up and some sitting on the roof and whatever. It's the same with gas. Lower you are at sea level, the more the more the gas has to bounce off of, and thus the more pressure. 14.7 psi, which is the set reference. Yeah.
The incline manometer back out here on the back porch now.
Container.
We're going to try this again.
Container.
I've got a 10-foot
Container.
PVC pipe.
Container. Look at that nice open container.
The open top of it up there. And I've got a coupling on the bottom of it that'll screw on the top of the 4-foot pipe. So first, I'm going to pressurize just the pipe alone. And we'll see if we get to read.
Do you guys like that? I will pressurize the pipe. So first of all, his claim is to demonstrate gas pressure without a container. He shows us gas pressure in a container. Pressurize. What do you require to pressurize? You require a container. Ouch. Ouchies.
Heating that's more or less comparable to what we had in the shop
I don't know.
previously.
You can use Monday.com to boost your team's efficiency.
Yeah. I'm gonna let that play in the background so long. I'm just gonna make my son coffee quickly.
See here?
Enjoy.
Same as before.
Can you see what he's doing? He's spraying it in a container.
Very much like we had before. There's about 0.045 or so inches of water gauge pressure. And of course, the large brown animal there is nice.
Do you guys see how the pressure increases when he sprays what? Butane into the container. Very, very interesting. So different pressure readings inside a container. So yeah, that's about it. Good to see everybody here. Great to be here. Gary, good to see you. Blue Marble sign showing gas pressure out container by using containers. Exactly, Gary. That's exactly it. Very true. It's amazing how these guys are so delusional, thinking they're actually demonstrating what they claim. So, is there anything else we can talk about? Because space is just, yeah, fake, as we're proving time and time again. When our own argument for pressure without a container requires container, there's a problem. Exactly, Derek Nelson, that's a big red flag. If you guys have to require containment when saying you're demonstrating without container, it's a huge red flag. Jack of all trades, you say the globe has no problem with being an open container. Is that so? Can you please demonstrate to us how you can hold gas pressure without the container? Well, you're saying it's an open container, so in other words, that means it has to abide by the law of thermodynamics. Gas will disperse into the vacuum. So you've just debunked your own assertion. Professor Forbell, the pipe does not have a lid, so the earth container does not have a lid. Professor, do you know what the arrow of time means? Let's see, if you had to go and stick... Professor Forbell, I actually got something for you to do. Will you ask Blue Marble or yourself, take that pipe, stick butane in it, and just leave it for a while? Let the arrow of time go. Do you think it will all disperse out of the top of that container or not? Okay, I'm coming now. Kettle boiled.
Drop in the dead air.
Sorry about that. Making coffee for everybody.
Okay, flat side.
Is someone here? Let's see. Oh, hey Ruth, how's it going?
Minutes.
I see you playing some poker.
I am.
How's it going?
Lovely, lovely.
That's good. Oh, sorry, I just had to make some
Can
coffee
you
for my
explain
child.
why you think gas pressure requires a container?
Because that's how gas works. Pressure is the force exerted on a container wall, on the
Top enough
surface.
bit. Oh, it's me actually, sorry. Hold on.
It's quite bright. Anyway. So yeah, it's very
There we go.
simple. What?
Sorry, I dropped out. Why does gas pressure require a container?
Because that's what gas pressure is. Gas is the force exerted by the gas. Pressure is the gas exerting a force on the container wall.
Well, no. Gas
Yeah.
pressure. I can have gas pressure just in the atmosphere outside, right?
Yeah, but the atmosphere is gas
There's no
pressure.
container there. Where's the container for that pressure outside?
I don't know how high the container is, but the fact is, because we have gas pressure, we have containment. Because that's
No,
how gas
why?
pressure works.
Why? What does the container? What purpose does the container fulfill?
It holds the gas to give the pressure. That's how it works. On my screen,
Okay,
gas
so
pressure
if-
is the name
If there's
given.
a
On my screen, gas pressure is the name given to the force exerted by gas particles colliding with the wall of their container. Pressure
Okay,
is
I
the force
reject that
exerted
definition.
over an area. Do you understand?
yeah,
Gas.
force per unit area, yeah, but I
Yeah.
reject that definition when it contains the word container, right?
All definitions have the word contain in it.
I don't care. I don't care.
So
right?
you the one that's then throwing it away, not me.
No, I will give you a definition of Earth that says Earth is a sphere. Are you required to accept that definition?
Earth is not a sphere because it hasn't been proven. Gas pressure is a proven. Gas pressure is physical
You're asking
reality.
me to accept your definition. I don't. Right? You have to accept my definition of Earth that I got from a dictionary.
Your dictionary's definition of Earth is based on contradicting itself.
Well, I'm trying to make the point that I can reject a definition, right? Do you have to accept my definition of Earth?
No, but
No,
you.
okay, I don't have to accept,
So
accept
you.
your definition.
Okay,
of
let's
gas
get this
pressure.
straight. So you are then throwing away what gas pressure is because it goes
No,
against
I'm
your
just throwing away
narrative
your
belief.
definition.
It's not
You're
my
saying it requires a
definition.
container,
That's what gas
right?
pressure is.
Well, Earth
Even
is a
NASA.
globe then. Earth is a globe. It's defined as a globe. The end.
Okay,
We can go home now, right?
would you accept the NASA's gas pressure definition?
I don't accept any definitions, right?
I know you don't accept it because it goes against your belief system. That's the whole point.
No. Definitions are not prescriptive, right? They don't tell you how you must use a word or what a word must mean. Right? They're just
Definition
how
is
people use
descriptive.
it
That's what a
in
definition is.
usage.
It describes a word. That's what that's what definition
Describes.
means. It's descriptive.
It describes, right? It describes how people use it.
You just said it's not descriptive.
No, prescriptive. Prescriptive is like this is authoritative. This is this is how you must use the word. Right? Definitions, particularly dictionary definitions, are not prescriptive. They just describe how people use the word.
Okay.
Right? If you want to force this definition on me, I will force my definition of Earth on you. Do we understand each other?
So you're trying to obfuscate from the point what gas pressure is.
No. Gas pressure, my definition, force per unit area.
What is a unit area?
Unit area. Could be 10 centimeters by 10 centimeters.
In physical
area.
in physical space.
Yes.
Oh, great. So a physical containment.
No, I did not say container. I said an area.
Is an area contained?
No.
Do you have a
I
boundary
can
in that
draw.
area?
I can hold my hands up in the air and make a 10 centimeter by 10 centimeter square. Right? That's not a container.
Is your hand physical?
Yes, but the
Is the
area
gas is the gas
not.
hitting?
The area
Is the
is
gas
just space.
is the gas exerting a force on your hand?
No, I'm talking about an empty space. I'm just drawing with my hands, right? Drawing with my hands an empty square of space. That is an area.
And where is this area
An
of
area
space
of
situated?
space.
Where is this area?
Again?
Is this area that you drew out inside a system?
It's not a container.
Is it
It's just
inside
an
a
area.
system, Ruhaf?
I don't even know what you mean by that, Fatsoid.
You-
I've just drawn a square in the air with my fingers. That is an area.
Inside a system, because
Yeah, just like you did on
let's say
the
you got your room. Let's say you've got your room, your lounge, wherever you're sitting. You draw a
That's
square
my
inside
lounge room is
that
a
room.
container.
Yeah, you draw a square inside that room. You would agree you've just drawn a boundary inside that system.
Inside my lounge room, yes. Okay.
Okay, so that lounge or room would be a system, correct?
Okay.
Yeah,
You'd
so
like
the
to call that,
same.
sure.
The same, if you walk outside and you giving an arbitrary boundary, which you call atmospheric pressure, is inside a system. This system,
It's inside the
to
universe.
require
yes.
to have
Drawn a
pressure,
space in the
requires
universe.
containment.
Is the universe contained? I don't know.
What's
Is
the
it?
universe?
Everything. You're trying to get me to accept a container. I'm telling you no.
I'm not
My
telling you
definition of gas pressure does not imply a container.
it does, because to have gas
No, it
pressure,
doesn't.
it's an antecedent.
I'm telling you
It
what my
cannot
definition
exist
is.
without it. Ruf, I'm not.
No, I'm telling you, my definition does not imply a container.
Yes, it does. It's still inside a
No, it
system.
doesn't.
That's
We
exactly
can-
what I
okay,
explained to you with the room.
I'm giving you my definition of Earth. Definition of Earth is a sphere. Game over. We can all give up arguing. It's over. Earth is a sphere because the dictionary says that it's a sphere. The end.
That's just obfuscating and running away from what
No,
gas
it's not.
pressure is.
You're trying to get me to accept your definition, right? What someone else has written, you're trying to force onto me. I reject it in the same way you reject my definition
Is
of Earth.
chemistry
You understand?
is chemistry wrong, Ruf?
I don't care. Fatsoid, I reject your definition.
It's not.
Please, let's
This
get
is not
past this
definition.
and explain
If I can
why.
physically show you, that you require containment for gas pressure.
Yeah, please show that. Please
I just
explain
did. The
why it
whole stream
requires
did.
containment.
Blue Marble Science just showed it. On screen now, everything I'm showing requires a volume. You know what a volume is?
Right, so yes, I can trace out a volume as well with my hands. That doesn't mean
so
it's contained.
is it a physical volume, Ruf?
I can trace out a volume with my hands. That does not require a container.
Is it physical volume? Is there physical volume inside that boundary?
Again, no, I'm tracing out a theoretical cube in the air with my fingers. Right? It does not it is not a container.
You're being
It
very
is simply
dishonest
a
here.
volume of air.
You're being very dishonest here because everybody can see
No,
on screen.
Fatsoid, do you not understand? When I trace something in the air, it is still a volume, but it is not contained. Do you understand?
It's still contained, yes.
It's not contained. I've drawn it with my fingers in the air. It's not a container.
Do you understand how a
It's
system?
just
What's a
so
thermodynamic
fundamentally
system?
simple.
What's a thermodynamic system?
Fatsoid, can you understand that if I trace something in there with my fingers, it's not contained? Don't ask me stupid questions.
Do you know what a system is? A thermodynamic system. Right?
Ah, Fatsoid, come on.
I'm asking you a simple question. Yes or no? Do you know what a thermodynamic
Oh,
system is?
Feel free to put words in my mouth, yes or no, get to your point.
Is it a thermodynamic system or not?
Oh,
Do you know what
yes
it
or
is?
no, whatever answer you'd like, yes or no. What answer would you like?
Any. I'm just wanting to know. Do you know what a
Uh,
thermodynamic system is?
No.
You
Explain
don't.
it. Go.
A thermodynamic system is simply, it's categorized in three situations. It's a system. It has a relationship boundary. So if you have a system inside another system, it's two separate systems. That means it has a boundary. If it's a closed system, it would be a physical boundary where matter and energy, only energy can go through that boundary. In other words, like if you have the sun in outside system, the energy can be transferred between the boundaries, but matter cannot because it would bounce off of that physical boundary. If you have an open system, the energy and the matter can leave it therefore into the surrounding system. Now, when you have an isolated system, which is just an hypothetical, it's a theoretical system because you do not really get isolated systems in reality, which you would call the universe, because that would be our known outside boundary. Understand? So that would be a system, the outside system, the limit they have given to any system. You have systems inside a system. You would agree to that?
Is me drawing my volume in the air a system? Yes or no?
If
I
you're
don't
making
care
a
whether it is or
boundary,
not.
it would be a
I
system,
don't care.
yes.
Okay, so continue forward with that explanation. And
Okay,
what's
so
the
you
next
would say that would be an open system because you do not have a physical boundary in that open system.
one? I've drawn a volume in the air.
Yeah, so it's an open
Right.
system.
There's no container.
Great.
There's no container, right?
Okay.
Okay.
Can the gas and everything in that system leave that system and other gas and energy
Yeah.
go back into that boundary?
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Second law of thermodynamics. It would leave the system. You just debunked your own argument.
All right, I drew a cube in the air. What was my argument that you debunked? Is that
You
a
have an
volume?
open
Yes.
system and gravity would hold it inside that system. You're saying gas pressure does not need containment.
I haven't mentioned gravity at all. I simply drew a cube in the air, and that is a volume. Is there pressure inside that volume, even though it's not contained?
It is contained with the outer system. It's a system inside a
I
system.
just drew it in the air.
Yeah, but that
If
air
I
is
draw a
inside
cube
it.
in the air, is that a container?
That system is inside a system, Roof. Are you saying the Earth is not inside a system?
It's in the system of the universe. Is the universe
Is the
contained?
universe
I
a
don't know.
system?
This is such a simple concept. I'm drawing a cube in the air. Is there pressure inside that cube?
Is there pressure leaving and going inside that cube?
Yes.
Great,
Yes.
so it's an open system.
Yeah. Is there pressure inside the cube?
Yes, it's an open system. Inside,
Okay.
inside
There's pressure
another
inside
system.
a cube without a container.
Hello, it's inside
has
another
volume and
contained
has pressure.
system, Ruaf. Do you understand? When you evoked pressure gradients, you're evoking a closed system to have that pressure gradient.
How? Why am I doing that? Please
Because that's what
explain
gas-
why it requires a container. Why does it require a container? What purpose does the container provide?
What purpose does a container provide? Easy. Gas pressure requires containment.
You've just asserted it again.
No, I did
Why?
not assert it.
Why
It's
does
how
gas
it
pressure
works.
require a container?
You are saying all chemistry, all physics is wrong just because you have a belief that the
No.
little block you've just drawn is not a system.
What purpose? Does the container act as a barrier to stop high pressure going to low pressure?
Would you agree gas has to take a shape of a container?
If you have a container, generally yes, but it'll still be a gradient.
So gas takes a shape of a container, which means it takes the volume of the container.
Right?
So
Is the
you
barrier
drawing that
meant to
arbitrary-
stop high pressure going to low pressure?
So you drawing that arbitrary block in the atmosphere outside, you are just creating a hypothetical boundary, an open system inside the already contained system.
You just assert that it's already contained. I'm asking why does it require containment?
Because that's what gas pressure is. It's the force
Then argument from
exerted
definition,
on the
Flexo.
container
Argument from definition.
walls.
Please
Even
explain
liquid,
why
even
it
liquid
requires
requires containment.
Why?
Because that's how reality works. It's a force exerted
It's not
on a
an answer,
container
Flexo.
wall.
It's not an answer, right? I can tell you if my tire, right, the tires on my car, right, the pressure inside is like 32 psi, and the pressure right next to it is 14.7 psi, right? If that tire wasn't there containing the pressure, that pressure would equalize, right? That's the purpose of that container.
Pressure would equalize
Okay.
to where?
Yeah, pressure would equalize if I put a hole in my tire, right? Pressure would equalize. Do we agree on that?
The pressure would equalize to what? The surrounding system.
Yeah, it would equalize, like, 32 psi going into 14.7 psi. Maybe it'll go to 14.8.
So the
as an
tire
average,
will go
whatever, right?
flat.
But it will equalize.
Exactly. Why? Because you've opened the
Okay.
system.
I've removed the container, right? I've removed
No, you
the
haven't. You
container,
created
so
the
the pressure
hole.
will equalize.
You've created the hole in the container, and now you've had entropy. You've had energy state transferred from both systems. The tire is now flat at the same pressure reading as the surrounding system. This is how it works, because
Right,
you've
so these pressures
released
equalize.
the high pressure to low pressure.
Yep.
And
so we're
what
in violent agreement.
is the
If
container
we get rid
still
of the
there?
tire, the pressure will equalize.
Do you understand your analogy of the having the tire is you conceding you require container
No,
to have
we'll
that
get
system?
there in a second. We'll get there in a second, okay? So I've removed the tire and we're all equalized, right? The 32 psi dissolved into the 14.7 and now everything's 14.7.
Yeah.
Okay? Cool. Now, in our atmosphere, the gradient goes up, right, until it gets to 0. At what point
Zero. It never
is
gets
the
to 0.
barrier required, given that we know that we have 14.7 psi at the surface and, you know, basically, I don't know, 0.3 psi, 20 k's up, right? Why hasn't that equalized?
Because at the ground,
Why is the barrier?
because the ground is a large surface area for the gas to move and bounce off of. At the ground, you've got the mountains, and you've got buildings, you've got people, rocks, trees, more combust. There's more stuff to hit. The higher you go up, the further away it is from that large surface area, and thus less pressure.
All right, so the tire at 32 psi dispersed into the 14.7 psi within seconds. Right?
Okay.
Within seconds. Why doesn't 14.7 psi at the surface disperse into 0.3 psi in seconds?
It does. It's going
No,
to...
it doesn't.
If
No,
you
it doesn't. It demonstrably doesn't.
Hello, like I'm saying, your tire, if you had to take that same tire and stick it up on Mount Everest, it's still going to disperse into that area.
Right? And it'll be, I don't know, 5 psi, whatever, right?
It's going to just disperse much easier, and the tire might explode by taking it up because it's going to have too much pressure inside the tire.
Yeah. Your requirement for a barrier is to stop high pressure going to low pressure. We have high pressure at the surface. We have low pressure at altitude. They do not equalize.
Is it the same system? Do we have the same system? Is top of Mount Everest in the same system as down by the beach?
Does it matter? It doesn't equalize.
Oh yes, it does matter. It's the same
purpose of the container
system.
is to stop it equalizing. In the atmosphere, it doesn't equalize. The end.
Hello, you are ignoring.
Barrier
It's the
is
same
not
system.
required.
It's a
Barrier
dynamics.
is not required between 14.7 and 0.3 or whatever. Why do you think it's then required between 0.3 and 0?
Okay.
It makes zero sense.
Okay, Ruth, what do you use to actually make the measurement of the pressure?
A barometer.
Great. Is a barometer a container?
Generally, no, actually, it's a surface.
Ah, so a container.
Surface.
A surface is a container.
Surface.
You
No.
only require one surface to have containment, Ruth. That's how it works.
Pressure is force per unit area, not force per unit volume.
So force per
I need a
unit area
surface.
are based on what? On a physical area?
Yeah.
Wow. So
You
that's
measure
a
the
container.
amount of kinetic energy the particles have against that surface. That's how you measure it.
So it's a container to measure that.
No,
Pressure?
it's a surface. It's a surface. It doesn't need a container, it's a surface.
Is a plate a container or a surface?
Plate.
Let's just say a plate. A dinner,
If I
dinner
hold
plate.
the plate upside down, is it a container?
Yes, because it's
No.
still having
No.
something hitting
it's
off of
not.
it. You can stick
It'll
water.
fall
You
off,
can
right?
hold it upside down and stick water on it. It's still going to contain water on the upside down of the plate.
No, it's not.
Really? You think that the plate
If
will
I have
not
a
be
plate,
weight
if I have
of
a
the?
plate of water, if I have a plate of water and turn it upside down,
Give me 2
the water
seconds.
falls off. Not a container. Hang on, you muted, have you? Can't hear. Alright, he's off. Anyway, for the audience, If I have a plate and turn it upside down, or a plate of water and turn it upside down, the water
Roof.
falls off. It's not a container.
Roof, plate.
Yep.
This is containing. What's it containing at the moment? It's having gas bouncing off of
Can't
it.
see anything.
Okay, well,
can't see anything.
this is for the audience. Let's try
Okay,
it.
there we go.
Just change it. Oh shit.
Yep.
I'm
I can see
missing
a plate.
water. Okay. Plate. Another one, okay?
Yep.
I'm just going to use this one to catch the water because I got water
Yep.
contained in a bowl. This is a container, you would agree?
Well, you've switched screens now. Oh, I'm on YouTube 7 seconds
Okay,
ago.
sorry, I'll wait. You'd agree this bowl
The
is a
blue one?
container.
The bowl. Yeah,
Yeah.
bowl's a container.
Okay,
Turn it upside down.
so what makes the difference between a plate? Is this plate containing the water now?
It is. Turn it upside
Okay,
down.
I'm going to turn upside down.
Yep.
Is it still dripping water? It's still dripping water, correct? It's containing the water until it's an open system, so it is obviously
Turn it
releasing.
upside down.
What it is upside down.
Turn it
What
upside
happens
down.
when I put the
Well,
water
you-
on top of the plate?
There you go. No longer a container. No longer a container. It's upside down.
Oh, really? Is it no longer a container?
Yeah.
What was that?
Yes. No longer a container.
Did I just throw water off of the not a container? Oh wait, let's do it again.
Oh, come on, Flatside. Come on, Jack.
Sorry. I'm sorry. I
Come
thought
on,
you
Jack.
guys were so clever.
Oh, there we go.
He is delusional. I 100% agree. Roof is
Come
delusional.
on, Jack.
You can tell me a bowl is a container. It's got a container wall holding around it.
Yeah,
But
turn it upside down and it no longer contains anything, right?
it does.
If you have a barometer and turn it upside down, it still measures pressure.
Why?
just need
Because
a
it's got a
surface.
liquid inside a closed container.
No.
Okay, this bowl. Is there...
Barometers measure the force of the kinetic energy of particles hitting a surface.
A
Container
surface?
not required. You can
Hitting
turn
a surface.
barometer upside down.
Is there gas pressure inside this bowl at the moment?
Sure.
So it's containing gas pressure inside its boundary.
Oh, for fuck's sake. Flatside, you know that if you
Is
turn
it
upside down,
containing
no longer
pressure
contains
inside
water.
its
This is
boundary?
ridiculous.
Is it containing gas pressure inside its boundary? Is this a
Flatside,
vacuum inside
A
here?
barometer does not need to contain anything. It
I'm
measures
asking-
the kinetic energy of particles hitting a surface.
I'm asking you a simple question. Is there gas pressure inside this
I've
container?
explained it. I've explained it.
Yes, there is.
I've explained it.
So it's not a vacuum. So it's containing the gas. The gas is actually bouncing off the container walls inside this bowl, inside the larger system. This is why you guys cannot accept what gas pressure is. It might be 14.7 psi here, just like on the outside system, but the gas is still bouncing all over inside it, just as it's bouncing outside, because the system is inside a larger system.
Remove the bowl from its current position and tell me whether that in that space that you had the bowl in, does gas pressure still exist there?
Yes, because it's a system. This
Yes.
bowl,
So did it contain anything, or was it just a fucking object sitting in the air?
it's contained it because it's hitting the container
Fucking hell,
walls.
Flatside. Jesus.
It's hitting the container walls. It's literally bouncing everywhere inside this container. It's open. The atmosphere is still bouncing around it. Underneath, it's hitting it. That's what a container is. It's a surface area, surface to hit, physical. Like your hand, that silicone chip in a barometer or whatever, the altimeter, same difference. It's physical. Without that physical surface, nothing happens.
Without your container, if you remove the container, the pressure that you had there is still there, right? So your container did nothing.
The container is showing you the gas is hitting it. Try and measure
Right,
gas
to
pressure
the
without
surface.
a barometer, please.
Sorry, say again.
Try and measure gas pressure without a barometer, please.
Try measuring gas pressure without an instrument to measure gas pressure.
Yeah,
That's a bit silly.
exactly. So you just conceded you require a container to have gas pressure.
Oh, fuck. Pressure is force per unit area, right? I just need a surface to measure the amount of kinetic energy those particles are hitting the surface with. It does not require a volume.
Yes, that's exactly what it is. Volume is surface area. You just told me 2 minutes
Sorry, that's
ago.
a
Wait,
quote.
didn't you
Very
just
quote,
tell
that
me 2
volume
minutes
is
ago
surface
that
area.
plate or
That's
that
all
bowl
what
is
you mean.
not containing anything? But now you just say it requires a surface area. So that physical
Surface
plate,
area, not a volume.
this,
A container.
so this physical plate, it's a physical surface, correct?
Right?
So what's happening when I'm creating pressure on this plate? I'm exerting a force on this physical surface, correct? That's pressure.
Sure.
So gas is
Yeah.
doing the same, correct?
Sure.
Okay. Do you understand your problem?
No, you're describing it correctly now. That's putting force
I've always
on
been
an
describing
area.
it that way.
Putting force on an area, not force on a volume.
Volume requires area. The volume requires physical bound. You know what volume is?
Please give me a definition of pressure again. What is a unit of pressure? What's the unit?
The gas
of pressure?
exerted
The SI
by
unit.
the force exerted by the gas on its container wall.
No, just pressure, right? What is the
The
SI
force
unit of
exerted
pressure?
on a surface.
It is on the surface.
Yeah, physical surface, correct?
Yeah. Okay. So not a volume, right?
You require a volume to have that physical container.
We almost got there.
I found something. Let's see. Let's see if you can see this. Oopsie. Pressure. Pressure is defined as a normal force exerted by a fluid per unit area. Units of pressure are
area.
Newton meter squared, which is called a Pascal. Correct.
Yes.
Since the unit Pascal is too small for pressure encountered in practice, kilopascals are commonly used, and that's just to say which ones we used, ATM and bar, whatever, blah blah blah.
Yeah.
What is happening here? He's whacking it. Is it much harder to hit a pin into the wall than a nail?
I can't see your screen because
Okay, well, let's just put it this way. If you have to take a nail and hit it into a wall with a hammer, it's going to be much easier than taking a shoe and trying to hit the shoe into the wall, correct?
It's easier.
Because
easier
the
to hit nail
surface
in, obviously.
area.
Right.
Because of the surface area.
Force per unit area. Yes.
Great. That's why when you have to try
So
and...
no container, just a surface, just an area is required. Not a volume. As soon as you go volume, you're implying that it's a container.
It is a container because that's what every...
Oh, man.
It's just an open container then, Roof, like I explained to you with the bowl. It's still bouncing
Yeah,
off
open
of that
containers are
physical
fine.
surface.
Like I draw a volume in the air. That's a volume. There is pressure inside of that. If I stick a barometer upside down in that volume, it will measure pressure. It'll measure the same pressure as if I turn it right way up.
So you're saying gas has not got volume? Is that what you're trying to say?
Gas has volume. Gas has volume. Of course it has volume.
So what is volume?
Three-dimensional space.
Great. And it means there is a physical boundary for that volume?
No, it doesn't mean I can trace a cube in the air with my fingers. That's not a physical boundary.
So, but there's physicality inside that boundary.
Physical space, there is no physical boundary.
You create a boundary. In other words, you've created a limit inside that system.
Yeah. Right? Not a physical one. I've defined, a cubic meter or whatever, just drawing it out with my fingers, but there's no physical boundary to that cubic meter
So
of air.
again, the gas and energy can move from that boundary system to the surrounding system.
Yes.
Wow. So we have a surrounding system that already has gas pressure, correct?
Right. Why does the gas pressure system require a container?
Does the surrounding system already have gas pressure?
Oh, man. Yes. The next cubic meter next to it has gas pressure. Why does it require a container?
You're not answering my question, Ruf. Why are you trying to obfuscate? That's kind of dishonest, don't you think?
I'm not.
Does the surrounding
No,
system
Francois.
already have gas pressure, Ruf?
Yes. And again,
Great.
you're just going to assert that that's because it needs a container. It's just your assertion. You say that this boundary is required, right?
It's
But there's no
antecedent.
boundary required between 14.7 and 0.3. So why is there a boundary required between 0.3 and 0?
There is no boundary required between them. Pressure gradient
Right.
comes after pressure. I've tried to explain
Right.
this to you. Pressure gradient comes after pressure. What is a pressure
Okay.
gradient, Ruf?
So again, what is the gradient?
What is a pressure gradient?
Change in gas pressure as you change elevation.
So, there was first gas pressure to have that pressure gradient.
Right.
Correct?
And?
And?
Punchline, please.
What is gas pressure?
Oh, for fuck's sake, Flatsoid. Please don't show me a definition again.
So, in other words, this conversation is not going to go anywhere because you're just ignoring what gas pressure is.
No, you're just making an argument from definition, which is a fallacy.
I'm not making an argument from definition. I can
You did, you're showing
demonstrate
it on
to
your
you.
screen. What is gas pressure? The pressure of gas in the stress levels of a container.
Every single thing when it comes to law and physics, gas pressure requires a physical surface. It requires containment for it to be
Requires
there.
a surface, right? To measure it, you need a surface, right? To
And a
measure it, you need a
surface?
surface.
Can a surface
if you
contain?
then remove that surface that you're using to measure the gas pressure, does the gas pressure still exist now that you remove the surface?
Yes, because it's in the system that's
Yes.
already got gas pressure, Ruf, like I'm explaining.
Right. And why does that system require a container?
Because it's an antecedent demonstrated and observed
Why,
in
why is it
reality.
an antecedent? Please
It means
get
it
to the
cannot
actual
exist without
punchline.
it. Just like a cow, if you're going to have eat a piece of steak, you require the animal to have the piece of steak, or it cannot exist.
Right.
You understand?
Yes. I
The same
understand that
with gas
analogy. I don't see how
pressure.
that applies.
Like a
Gas
combustion
pressure.
engine.
You just keep restating your assertion that it requires a container without explaining why.
Okay. Can you create more pressure inside an open volume boundary?
No, because it will equalize.
No, you know why? Because you require physical containment to put the pressure up.
Right. So
Why-
why doesn't
why
the
do you have-
atmosphere equalize?
If I bring a container and I pressurize that container, can I pressurize nothing? Can I put pressure up without having anything to hold that gas inside?
If I don't have a container, right, the gas will equalize. The fact that our atmosphere does not equalize means that we don't need the container.
You're trying very
Right,
hard to
your reason
obfuscate
for
from the
having
point
it,
here,
your
Ruf.
reason for having it is that if we didn't have it, it would equalize. Our atmosphere does not equalize.
Because we live in a
There is no
dynamic
requirement
system.
for a container.
Because we live in a dynamic system. A
Well,
combustion engine,
Again, my
Ruf,
tyres hold 32 psi, and if I blow out my tyre, that equalizes within seconds.
inside
How
the
fast do you think
already
it should
contained
equalize between
system.
14.7 psi and 0.3?
Okay,
very, very fast.
you want to
it
prove
doesn't.
you want to prove that that already contained system is not contained, please, Ruf.
No, your assertion is that it must be contained. I don't make that assertion.
You are the
There's
one
no
going.
reason for it to be.
You are the
contained.
one going against every single definition known to man about what gas pressure
Okay,
is.
you're going
About
against the
every
definition of
physical
it. The end.
demonstration.
Go on.
You are the one going against it. So it's your claim to back up that you do not need containment. Blue Marble Science tried
Definition of Earth.
and he demonstrated
Definition of
you
Earth
to
has a
require
polar radius
containment.
and an equatorial radius. The end.
Guys, you heard it? Ruif is just showing he knows you need containment, but he's obfuscating and running away from demonstrating his very bold claim that goes against physics. A combustion engine requires containment. Why? Because that's what pressure is. If you have no pressure in your valve, you cannot have power. There would be no combustion.
Right.
That's why if you blow a head
Right.
gasket, you have no power because it's an open system. The gas would just disperse into the available space.
Yep. Agree with combustion engines.
So you agree you require
pressure.
containment to have pressure?
The combustion engine requires the fuel to be under pressure, yes, and then it expands.
Great. So what makes it different now if you want to walk outside?
I think I've said it 10 times now.
No, you said a religious belief because you're ignoring what pressure is. You just agreed with me what pressure is. What was the pressure in the combustion chamber?
Okay, I'll say it again. Is there a barrier required between 14.7 psi and 0.3 psi?
No, it's the same
no.
system, Ruaf.
Okay.
That is nobody's ever made a claim that you require a barrier between sea level and Mount Everest. You guys are making
Okay.
a claim. We don't make such idiotic
So
claims
what-
because we understand pressure gradients come after pressure in containment.
Is there a barrier required between 0.3 psi and, basically 0?
No, because no one's making that claim. It's
No.
the same system.
Okay, so there's no barrier required between 14.7 psi and a vacuum. Thank you.
It's the same system, Ruaf. This bottom of the
You just
tire,
acknowledged that you don't need a barrier between 0.3 and 0.
it's because
Right?
it's the
So
same.
you can have gas pressure next to a vacuum. The end. Done.
It's
Thanks,
this-
Lloyd.
It's the same system, Ruaf. If you have the same system, why would you need in between the system barriers? For what? What's that going to do? You're just going to change the
Do you want to
temperature?
change your answer? Do you need a barrier between 0.3 and 0?
No, you don't. See what I mean?
No.
You
Okay,
are the
so
one
you
claiming
don't
you need a barrier.
between 14.7
There we
and a
go.
vacuum.
Everybody, Ruaf has claimed you need a
gonna
barrier
record this and
between.
post it as a
So
video.
you're the one
That's
making the
fine.
claim. You're the one making the claim you need a barrier between it. So you must be the one backing that up.
Hey.
Don't strawman me because
Sorry,
you're
what?
too stupid to understand pressure gradients.
Sorry, you just
Thank
said
you.
I require a barrier?
You just said so.
What?
That was your words.
No. I asked you, right, there's clearly no barrier between 14.7
No, there
and
isn't.
0.3.
No one claims there has to be. Only you do.
Okay, good. No,
Only
I
you
don't
claim.
claim that. Holy shit.
You said that 2
There
seconds
is
ago.
no barrier. There is no barrier between 14.7 and 0.3, and you answered when I asked you, is there a barrier required between 0.3 and 0? You said no twice. Therefore,
Why?
there is
Why?
no barrier required between gas pressure and a vacuum.
Um,
The end. I'm going to clip it out. Thanks,
Sorry,
that's all.
what vacuum? Anybody said anything about a vacuum?
Zero pressure.
Please do make sure when you
Zero
clip it
PSI.
out, Ruff, make sure when you clip it out, remember to tell them I said in the same system, okay? Because you guys do like to misrepresent a lot.
Well, I'll ask it again, right? Is there a barrier required between 0.3 and 0 psi?
It's in the same system, so that's a no, Ruff. That's
Well,
how
no,
pressure
so there's
gradient
not-
works.
There's no barrier required between 14.7 and 0 psi.
It's
Thank
called
you.
area of
The
the
end.
same system, Ruff. That's how it
Oh,
works.
Oops, what was that?
Yeah, exactly, Colin. I'm laughing at this guy. He tells us we require a barrier because he says we require a barrier. Nobody's
Why would
saying
you
this.
Say that, Flatsoid.
You just said
When
it.
have
How
I
many
ever said we
times?
require a barrier?
Again, Ruff,
When have I said that we require a barrier? This is your claim.
you are making a straw man on saying I require a barrier between pressure gradients. Not me. You are the one saying it, and then you're trying to dismantle
No, I'm not.
your claim about it. I've never made a claim you need barriers
I'm not
between
claiming
pressure
we
gradients.
require a barrier. My whole argument is that we don't.
And I've never
This is
claimed it,
unbelievable.
so why are you attacking me on it is something I have never claimed.
Okay, does gas pressure require a container?
Yes.
Okay, is there a barrier between 14.7 and 0.3?
No, because it's in the same system, you dumb fuck.
No. Is there a barrier between 14.7 and 0.3?
The same system, no barrier. Do you
Is
understand?
there a barrier between 14.7 and 0.3? No, there is not a barrier between 14.7 and 0.3.
Same.
Is there a barrier required between 0.3 and 0?
Okay, I've server muted Ruaf now quickly. Ruaf, listen very nicely to me. You repeating yourself is not helping you. You making a straw man argument for me. You are the one making claims that you require a barrier between 14.7 psi and 0 psi, whatever you want to call it. I'm telling you straight. Same system, pressure gradient inside same system. Get it? No barrier required. It's the same system. If you want to have a barrier between them, that is your straw man. You are the one claiming that. I do not claim it because I actually understand what gas pressure means. I understand the difference between pressure gradient and pressure. You require a pressure which requires containment. Your pressure gradient comes afterwards. Hence, the floor ground level has more pressure because it bounces off of the floor. Go up, it has less pressure. And ladies and gentlemen, Ruaf just left the conversation. Very dishonest. So yeah, anyway guys, I do have to go. Thank you all for being here. It was quite an interesting conversation with a very dishonest guy. Yeah, 100% Kevlar. If you guys haven't already, please just do hit that like button, hit the share, and if you haven't already, hit that bell notification because it keep up to date. So yeah, hopefully this week or next week I'm going to launch the debate evening. So stay tuned for that guys, because it's going to be quite exciting. Have a proper debate structure, and also do stay tuned. I am invited to go on Glowbusters tonight, so that would be great. I'm definitely looking forward to that. Thanks everybody for being here. Please do remember, there is no such thing as gravity. There is no such thing as trying to prove space without containment, because all they do is show containment. Till next time, you guys all rock. Really do appreciate your support.